My old work crush came to our get-together and demanded I pay for her food, which cost $10. I didn't invite her, we were out as a group. I didn't flirt with her or send signals, and we earned the same. It was so bizarre and cringeworthy that I stopped talking to her the whole night. Story 1. Asking to borrow money after having sex. Before, she was telling me how she likes to do cocaine at work because it's similar to coffee and helps her with her job, and explaining that it isn't a problem. She was a social worker who specifically worked with marginalized women who were addicted to drugs. Story 2. Oh my God, you should meet my boyfriend. You two would get along so well. This was within 5 minutes of asking me if I wanted to be her lover tonight. Story 3. You're weak, and you'll always be weak, no matter how many hours you spend in the gym. Your mind is weak because you won't stand up for yourself. My ex-fiancée's response to me refusing to hit her back after she hit me in the mouth and was taunting me to do something about it while I was quietly spitting blood in the sink since it made me cut the inside of my lip. Never has someone I loved so much and was incredibly attracted to become immediately disgusting and ugly to me as she did in that moment. Haven't seen her in person since, and if I did, I wouldn't even give her the respect of looking her in the eye. Edit. I didn't expect my phone to get blown up with likes and support from you all. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I will say, I'm 3.5 years removed from this event. The whole thing happened a week before the COVID-19 pandemic, and I'm okay now. I've moved on and learned from the good and the bad from that relationship, and I'm better now for it. I'm happily engaged to an absolute sweetheart now, and she's my best friend. She was very patient with me in being comfortable again and very affectionate. The last thing I want to say is that I've been pretty open with people about my experience with the relationship and the abuse I went through with her leading up to this. I do a lot of work and donate to the 1 in 6 organization, and I encourage those who want to support, learn more, or need help to get involved or at least learn more about it. For those who are going through or have been through this, don't feel ashamed and afraid to share what you've been through. Unlike what my ex said, we are not weak. Most people who have met me or know me honestly would probably never guess that I was someone who was abused, and many people aren't, so you never know what's going on behind closed doors. Story 4. Was dating a girl and we were about to get intimate. She told me I shouldn't worry about a condom because she said, I've had so much come in me. It's fair to say I was completely turned off. Story 5. I went out on a date with a woman. While we were talking, she coughed a lot and then she said, Sorry, I've been smoking too much oxycodone lately. We did not see each other after that. Kind of funny now that I think about it, but yeah, I will pass on the oxycodone smokers. Story 6. Being told I couldn't be raped after looking for comfort discussing a sexual assault situation still affects me. But I'm here to tell you all that our stories matter. Don't let anyone try to emasculate you for being a victim. Story 7. I was 24 when my now ex told me 3 years into a relationship she still loved her then ex. She apologized later that night, and I was so lost in life that I stayed with her for another 6 months. Even then, she was the one who left me. I can't leave you all on that, though. I hit the gym and started focusing on myself after that toxic situation ended. I got promoted about 7 months later and slowly got fit. She contacted me, asking to hang out and tried sending me some suggestive pictures, bragging about how well she's doing and so on. I entertained her first few messages and then had some come-to-Jesus moment and decided to leave her unread. I went out on a date the same night she reached out. I let 7 months of frustration out with that woman. Best 30 seconds ever. Anyway, we're married now and have been for 8 years. Story 8. Gotta go with the girl who said my father must have earned his cancer karmically. The woman who told me she didn't have any plans for later paused and then said, I've got money. Has to be a runner-up though. Story 9. A girl I matched with on a dating site told me that she knows a lot of guy friends outside of work and at work have a crush on her, and she dresses for the validation she gets from them and lives off it. She said she knows that she might be leading some guys on and giving them the wrong signals, but she has no intention of stopping or trying to fix her self-image issues because using them for validation is much easier than making the effort to address her mental health issues causing this. All the beauty and adorableness I saw in her vanished in an instant. Story 10. I was on a second or third date with a woman while in college. During the date, she got a call from her father. She had apparently spent over $800 in random purchases over the weekend, luxury clothes kind of things. She yelled at him that she can do what she wants. Then she vented about her dad trying to be controlling and how she should be able to do whatever she wants. That was our last date. Story 11. Coworker from a previous cleaning position at a hospital complex. One night, we were casually talking between jobs when she asked, "Do you have any kids?" When I said no, she seductively replied, "Would you like some?" Her question might have been taken as a coy way to ask me out if not for the fact that seconds earlier, she mentioned her 3 children by multiple fathers, among other things. Story 12. What do you bring to the table? I was so confused because we were barely talking, and I wasn't sure how to even answer that. It doesn't help that she was a bit drunk, but the way she delivered the line really rubbed me the wrong way. Story 13. The mother of my children called me short. I looked at her like she was crazy. I responded, "Really? How come it wasn't an issue when we were making kids?" It ended shortly after that. Sure enough, she was seeing someone behind my back who is like an inch or two taller. She's also like 5'2", and her mom is like 4'11". I can't make this up. I'm 5'9", by the way. Story 14. A woman told me she was incapable of monogamy because she needed the attention and validation from multiple men fighting over her. I declined to pursue it further, and she stepped on my foot with a stiletto heel trying to force her way into my bedroom. She didn't like being told no. Story 15. I have several and have a harder time ranking them, so here goes. Only men with chest hair should be allowed to show their chest. Naked chests are disgusting. A classmate commenting on me buttoning up a few buttons on my shirt on a hot summer day. The moment I saw you cry, I knew I had lost all my sexual desire for you. No real men cry. My ex a day after my closest relative had suddenly died. Men are nothing more than a walking dildo with a bank account, and it's moronic that they think they'll ever be anything more than that. A random girl I hooked up with in the pub. We didn't go home together. Story 16. I was 24 while with a girl, and things were somewhere between being friends with benefits and boyfriend/girlfriend. One day, I made a joke about how I still had clothes from high school, given that I grew up broke and was at my first job out of college. She responded by saying it was kind of sad and pathetic. Another time, I made a joke about being a smaller guy. I am 5'8" and weigh 140 pounds. I run marathons competitively, so I am very satisfied with my build, but I know I'm always going to be one of the smallest guys everywhere I go. She responded by saying that since I'm a guy, I should be making myself as big and strong as possible. I was desperate for any kind of relationship, so I just blindly let her walk all over me. Then I learned she cheated on her boyfriend before I met her and realized I dodged a bullet. Story 17. I have been with a lot of guys lately. You might want to wrap up. Thanks, I will be back once you have been tested. I am not against wearing a condom, but do not tell me right before I go in that you have been with a lot of guys lately or how sketchy they were. Story 18. I had mentioned her tendency to get really upset over minor stuff and take things very personally. A friend, for instance, invited us out somewhere. It was short notice and she had work that day. She got offended, insisting that he purposely extended the invitation when she couldn't go. She then got offended that we were going without her, since we all had Saturday off and she didn't. That sort of thing. Anyway, I had remarked on how overblown her reactions often were, and she responded basically with, "People have told me I'm too sensitive, but I would argue that they're not sensitive enough. My sensitivity is something pretty about me." She had essentially turned a critical personality issue into a badge of honor and blamed everyone else for responding poorly to it. That was another in a series of issues that made me stop taking her seriously. Story 19. A real man is 6 feet tall with a full head of dark hair. I'm 5'8" and bald. I date you, we just need to get you to dress better. Get you an Apple Watch, you need tattoos and a motorcycle. I was in my work uniform, just a polo shirt and golf pants. Both women have historically bad romantic lives. Weird. Story 20. I met up with someone a couple of times, and the final time I noticed she had the Schutzstaffel lightning bolts tattooed on her wrist. She had it covered with a watch band before. When I confronted her about it, she claimed that it's really not so much about white supremacy as family and sticking together. I left really fast. Story 21. Racist behavior. Things demonstrating an utter lack of curiosity. Ignorance is fine, that's where we all start. But if you're content to stay there, what are we going to talk about? The helpless act. I know it probably works with a lot of guys, but how am I supposed to respect somebody who doesn't respect themselves? Story 22. A girl sent me a nude as a form of booty call, but captioned it with sorry. My fanny looks a bit unkempt, haven't shaved. Something about reading unkempt fanny put me off sex for a week. Story 23. Next time I catch you looking at another woman, I'll cut your dick off. Needless to say, I cut her off before she could follow through with her threats. Story 24. These two ladies walked past me once when I was walking my French bulldogs. You know, the dogs that look like frog pigbats? One of them told me she loved the dogs, and before I was even past them, she said loudly to her friend, "Oh my gosh, you know how they say people look just like their dogs?" I still think about it. It's probably been 8 or 9 years. Story 25. Went on a Bumble date. Asked her if she had any pets. Her, "Yes, I have this totally cute tiny dog. I keep the air conditioning in my apartment really cold. So she's forced to snuggle with me to help satisfy my need for constant attention." Bye. Story 26. I just don't feel like we are happy like the people in the movies. Her commenting on why she is breaking up with me. Friends and family say I dodged a bullet on that one, but I still miss her. Story 27. We were on our first date, and she asked me if I would shave my beard for her. I said I would never do it for anyone, and she was offended. We didn't have another date, though, because I kind of lost interest. Story 28. A truly smoking hot woman once said, "Everybody wants me," with the attitude that she was the greatest thing ever created. She instantly became nothing to me, and I never spoke to her again. Story 29. Was getting a lap dance from a stripper, and she honestly looked better before she got naked. She could probably tell I wasn't into it and was trying so hard to have a conversation with me. She took my glasses off and said, "You don't need these. You look like a nerd." I laughed and stayed seated because my favorite song was playing, but inside I was deeply underwhelmed and just wanted her out of my face. Story 30. It was during the COVID pandemic and I had a dating app. I matched with this one girl whom I asked out. She just said, "Send me money for iced coffee," over and over again. After she said it around 6 times, I just said, "If you want to go on a real date, apologize and let me know. Until then, please leave me alone." She called me broke, sexist, and said I won't be anything, and more. I just unmatched with her. It's crazy that some girls get away with that behavior. Story 31. A girl once told me I'm not interesting because I'm too happy and easygoing. I never hit on her, never asked, have no interest in her. Gee, sorry babe. I'm going to ruin my life to make myself unhappy just for you now. Forget it. Story 32. She said she liked dating overweight guys because they have low self-esteem, and she can do whatever she wants because they're lucky she even talks to them. Shaking my head. Story 33. Can't you see what not earning your potential has done to the children and me? In a reply to an email where I detailed the $11,000 per month we were spending in 2001 on a salary of over $150,000 per year. We divorced in 2003. Story 34. A girl I had a crush on spoke negatively about another girl and her engagement ring behind her back to me. Clearly jealous and materialistic among other red flags. No thanks. Story 35. One started to deny the Holocaust and talked about how some Jewish people were not cool. She also at some point started to divide the world into intellectual zones and tried to convince me that the only reason for Northern Europe to be rich was the intellectually superior Northern race. She explained the superior race idea in the North with the notion that in colder temperatures, humans needed to be smarter than others in order to survive. Story 36. Gay people are all going to hell, where they belong, said a very attractive woman I met while I was between marriages. I took her for coffee to get to know her. Before that comment, I was considering a real date. I'm glad she revealed her views before I wasted more than $4 on coffee. Bullet dodged. Most people can't hide their extreme views for more than 90 days, but they can manage it for the first few dates. Not her. After 30 minutes, it started coming out. It makes me wonder how much more she was holding back. Story 37. This was in high school, and it was after she sent her friend over to gauge my interest. Our first conversation was basically as follows. You look just like my ex-boyfriend. That's a very good thing. I didn't find this flattering, but she was cute and I was 16, so still a go. Before I could say anything, she followed up, "Did you know that I can't get pregnant?" Then she told me that she was hypersexual because she was molested as a toddler, but she was in therapy for it and it was totally cool and we should hang out after dinner. I hadn't gotten a word in at all at this point. I was stunned. It was just a little strong for 16-year-old me, though I would have been interested if she were any less aggressive at all, which would have been unfortunate for me because she has 2 kids now, and I would have probably just taken her at her word that she couldn't get pregnant.